Hello. Yeah, hello. Hello to all our listeners and our viewers. Welcome once again to Ebusiabi YouTube channel. This is a beautiful year. It's unfortunate we having, some situation in LA, California right now. People have lost their homes, but at the end of the day, life is the most important thing. So if we are here, you are watching us, you are listening to us, then we can only give thanks and praises to our Almighty God, the architect of this universe. So I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of us a happy and a healthy new year. May God bless us all. Welcome once again to Ebusiabi YouTube channel.
Amen.
Brother Sam, if you can, also say something to our viewers and listeners.
Hello to the viewers. Good evening from California, obviously. And Happy New Year to all of you. We are happy that you are here. Just want to say that the main aim is to, interrogate the African, issues that I think can never get enough platform, right? And also, don't forget to patronize the channel, subscribe, like those audios or videos, sorry, and share. Thank you, and I'm
Thank you.
happy to be here with my brother.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So thank you, brother Sam, for doing this collaboration with me.
yeah,
I know after our first collaboration, we were looking forward to doing another collaboration, but we all tight with our schedules.
correct,
So
correct,
yeah,
yeah,
but we are very thankful to God, that we've been able to um make it to our second collaboration.
correct.
Well, just as the title for this discussion states, the contribution of the African elite to the development of the African continent.
Mhm.
I mean, all that we are doing is to educate all of us,
Right,
ourselves,
right.
whether the African elite has really, you know, contributed to the development or the underdevelopment of the African continent.
Mhm.
And I believe when we go to school, we become knowledgeable. We should use our knowledge to the benefit of the people around us. Is that truly what we're doing as Africans, brother Sam?
Right. So again, I'm happy to be here, and so when we talk about the education and acquiring knowledge, especially in the context of Africa, it's very important that we, try to um, reflect on how everything came about.
Hmm.
The reason why education in Africa was, in the first place, brought forth was because the colonialists, people who colonized us, needed those people in order to serve as either translators or do administrative chores or be in the office as clerks or be there as people who will propagate and help facilitate religion, right? And they need people who are versed in the language, that is the English language, and be able to translate the Bible to, to the indigenous
Hmm.
in their own local languages. And that's how the African education was conceived. The need to have the
Hmm.
education in Africa, right? And when the colonialists did that, they realized that, it makes life easier for them
Mm.
because now we have indoctrinated, if you will, the African, and then they will be partaking in propagating what it is that they want. In other words, they want to actually put a hold on the control of the people in Africa. And in order to do that, guess who is the best asset to do that? It's the educated Africans,
Yes.
right? And then later it shifted from normal what do you call it, lower basic education to higher education, right? And that's how, it transitioned from, being a propagation of religion, being a catalyst for reinforcing the colonial concepts, to something that is going to be, sort of an administrative thing. It will help them to actually assume ownership of major roles in the colonies,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
how education has been fostered in Africa.
Yeah. So basically, from what you've said, the education going on in Africa right now has
Mhm.
not benefited the Africa. But can we also as a people learn from it? Can we learn from the past and use the education that we acquire to the benefit of our own people? Can we learn from the past?
We can learn from the past. It depends on what it is that we want to learn, right? I believe education has always been a necessary asset. It's very, very important. It's a necessary skill and something that we need even as a developing country. The more the populace is educated and enlightened, the better for the country and for the continent, right? And if I don't know if I understood your question. What was your question again?
Yeah, what my question was that why is it that we have not learned from the past, even if the colonial masters educated the African
Right.
so that we become beneficial to them? Why haven't we learned from
That's
the
a very
past
good
to
question,
break
actually.
that jinx?
That's a very good question, and I will tell you why. So, as I in my earlier submission, I said education was used as a tool to enhance the priorities of the colonialists,
Yes.
and also with the burning interest for them to make sure they have, you know, the propagation of religion, especially
Mm,
Christianity,
mm.
right? And I remember I saw somewhere where, when the colonialists were in Ghana, sorry, in Nigeria, for example, especially in southern Nigeria, they decided that's when they conceived education as a tool, not just for colonization, but also for perpetuation of their goals. And how did they do that? There was a missionary, in Nigeria at the time, who came up with the idea or the thought process that, you know, when we educate people, they are going to be the ones, those who are educated, to continue with the propagation of the religion,
Mm-hmm.
right? and and he also conceived that once you do that, when you educate them and they become a catalyst for religion expansion and propagation and conversion, the same people will turn around and become the leaders of the country,
Yes.
because they are educated. Here we already indoctrinated them with a religion,
Yes.
and because they are educated and they have this religion already, because they are educated, they also will be involved in the administration of a country,
Yeah.
leadership. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so they conceive it necessary that once they achieve those two goals, the third goal would be who is going to lead the country. Is the educated, right?
Yes.
And when these educated are, become leaders, they will therefore continue to, they are leading a country and they belong to a particular religion. Probably that will be a catalyst for them to actually help continue to propagate the religion, which
Yeah.
was the
So
concept. So when you ask me why, if we learn something from it, right? To answer your question precisely, you know, is to say that that conception, when the missionary, stated that, when they have, educate people who become Christians and who become leaders of a country and therefore continue to protect the religion that they, indoctrinated them with. That was the conception of elitism.
yeah.
That was when they, that in itself is a structure that is devised to create a hierarchy, right? So when you ask me if we learn anything from it, what we learn from it is actually not understood. It's not understood because if you understand that conception during those eras, then you realize that the problem of Africa now is that we have these elite politicians, elites, educated Africans. And because of the establishment of such hierarchy by the colonialists, that process, that culture continued up to
Yeah.
today, right? So I'm not sure I answered your question, but yeah.
Yeah. You've given us lots of information, Brother Simon. Thank you. But my main thing is
Mhm,
all these elites or educated, highly educated people from Africa,
mhm.
they've traveled around the world.
Right.
They've traveled to the Americas, they've traveled to the Europes, they've traveled to all the nice places in Asia. They have their education in good universities. My problem is, I mean, you've seen, you've benefit, you've benefited from better systems.
Right.
So even if the colonialists educated you so that you become beneficial to the colonialists, when you were in America, you were in England, you were in Paris, you were in Switzerland, benefiting from their system,
Mhm,
and you went back to your country or your continent, doesn't anything tickle your mind that you
mhm,
should also implement the same systems that you benefited from to your own continent? Like, for example, when it comes to um, 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 health services,
mhm,
why is it that our president, our elite,
mhm.
why should they be traveling to other countries?
Right.
Why wouldn't they equip hospitals or build modern hospitals in
Mhm.
Africa so that when they are sick, we'll be educated, we'll be treated,
Right.
or they will be treated on the African continent instead of traveling outside of Africa using hard currency to,
For
yes.
treatment.
So yes. So
Mhm.
why is that? Are we that stupid?
No, I don't think it is stupidity. I think um, it is the depth of what I think. It's an amalgam of many things. It is the depth of indoctrination. It is the depth of selfishness. Really, to be honest with you, it is a manifestation of um, seeing the affluence and the lifestyle in the West, but not being able to make it the way you wanted as an educated individual at par with everybody else, let's say in America. When they go back over there, they probably need there's that drive to maintain a particular lifestyle that is already existing before they return. And when they return, most of them want to assume a certain lifestyle that is incompatible with the realities in terms of the financial or the economy of the country.
Um,
And so it's not necessarily because they are stupid. After all, we are talking about people who have their degrees in prestigious
yeah,
universities in the West. But I believe is is self-hate, is selfishness, it is greed. It is a
yeah.
combination of many
Brother Sam,
things. Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you short,
Please,
but
please,
I
please.
mean, you could be a professor and be stupid. I mean,
Yes.
you could be knowledgeable in your field of study. It
Mhm.
doesn't make you a wise person,
That's right.
And I don't know. I'm from Ghana. You are from Gambia.
Mhm,
I know much about Ghana.
mhm.
From Ghana, everybody comes from a village.
Correct.
So if you are lucky enough, you are from a village and you've been able to reach a higher status in society,
Mhm,
and you've moved from the village, you are even lucky you traveled outside of Ghana to study,
mhm.
and you've benefited from a good system. Doesn't it make sense that you go and implement that system in your village? That is why I talk about stupidity,
Mhm,
because if you've traveled to somebody's country, they have good systems, you
mhm.
benefited from their healthcare, benefited from the education, and you call yourself an educated person.
Right.
You return back to your continent. Does it not make sense that the knowledge that you've acquired, you also implement it back home?
Right. It does make sense in that way, but that's probably oversimplification of the realities. So I know of a politician whom I don't want to mention,
Yes.
who is a world-class lawyer, and actually practiced and
Mm-hmm.
did cases in the International Criminal Court in Geneva. He's a renowned lawyer. Okay, but I think there's one thing he said, which is that if you want to, like, let's say you go outside and you get your education in Germany, in Belgium, in UK, wherever, and you return to Africa with the hope of getting rich, right? The only way for most people, especially let's say in an impoverished country like some countries in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
not to mention names before somebody thinks I'm denigrating a particular country,
Yes.
but in most countries in Africa, if you just want to go get rich, you will end up being immersed in the corruption and the embezzlement and the misappropriation in order to assume that lifestyle.
But
And if that is the only solution, because there aren't many options, right? So if there aren't many options, you realize that these people end up, the gravitational pull will be towards politics. And when they became politicians, I don't care how much they pay them. It's never enough
no, but
for the ambition, for the lifestyle, for the reflection back and thinking, this is where I have my life supposed to be, and this is where I am. And in order to achieve there, I'll compromise and cut all corners to achieve that, right? I think, just I gave that lawyer as an example because I believe, having been all over, let's say in America, and work for the UN and work for the International Criminal Court and all of that, I happen to believe he got some wealth that will minimize that greed that he has. However, there's a caveat to this, because when you look at it, you realize that there indeed are people who are actually rich enough and affluent enough, but still does not believe in the development of Africa. Am I contradicting what I already said earlier? Not necessarily, but I'm trying to give a balanced perspective.
yes.
There are instances where you have, you know, elites who actually happen to make money, who are actually affluent in their own respect, and return to Africa and be more corrupt, right?
Yes.
They don't actually benefit the people when
Yes.
they are given the responsibility of
Yes.
being in the leadership
Yeah. Yeah.
realm.
So in essence, the education that we travel outside of African continent to have, it does not benefit the African people. And also it's like those in leadership positions
Mhm.
who are in pole positions to help turn life around for the African people, they don't care. Like, it doesn't even concern them when they see poverty and, excuse me to say, all the diseases in Africa. They
Mhm.
don't care.
Yeah.
If I understood you correctly, most of these politicians and the elites, they just care about amassing wealth. That is all they care about. I mean, why am I saying this?
Yeah.
And to be specific to Ghana,
Right.
if politicians cared enough, I always make reference to our first president,
Mhm.
the Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Look at the time, the vision
Yes.
that the Osajefo had. Oh, I mean, when we're talking about healthcare, look, the Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah built the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Mhm.
The Kolebu Teaching Hospital has no healthcare facility that can measure up to its status as it is right now.
Mhm.
Look at the kind of industries that the Osajefo built. Where is Ghana Airways? Ghana Airways is collapsed. So sometimes I think it's just about the people we elect to be our leaders.
Right.
That is the problem. Because if politicians have continued or even maintained what the Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah did, Ghana specifically should have been way ahead, and there should have been more jobs for the youth. What do you say to that?
Right. No, I agree with you, and this is why I said that's why I mentioned selfishness, because Osejefo Kwame Nkrumah basically assumed poverty, and he was not there to make himself affluent and
Yes.
rich. The guy has not just hospitals, but factories that he
Yes.
initiated that actually end up not flourishing because he was deposed and was out of power. So so it's not necessarily because somebody is educated, and that's basically why we are interrogating this topic, because sometimes what's supposed to be our benefit becomes our downfall, right? When you see the concept of colonialists actually introducing education, I have reflected on that earlier. It's because it is helpful in the creating structure for a nation and for a society. So if we have our people who are educated and they fail to actually help, they fail to contribute what they needed to contribute, and actually, try to use their knowledge to benefit the population, then we are doomed.
How do we break that jinx? How do we fix that?
That's a very good question. I think the only way we can do that is, first of all, I have really reflected on this, and I really believe this sincerely. I believe the Africa has been partitioned and indoctrinated to the point where trying to resolve issues as different entities, different hamlets, call it countries, I don't care, it's a wrong approach. The reason why China is standing is because China included Tibet, China included Guangdong province, China included different places, and it's 1.4, 1.3 billion people. I think the solution is to have somebody, a structure where we amalgamate ourselves, we come as one immediately, right now. Allow the youth to choose a leader to lead the African continent. And having done that, we decentralize power, but a very well accountable power. Look at what is happening in Sudan. There's no voice, there's no central person to actually intervene or come up with a directive for the Sudanese conflict. You don't even hear it on the international news. If you watch CNN, you will not see it. If you watch Al Jazeera, you probably will, but it will be a snippet of it. If we have a centralized and amalgamated one country as Africa, we would not be having AES, the Alliance of the Sahel countries.
Yes.
We would not need that. The reason why these countries come together and create a pact is because they realize, for as a single entity, they will fail easily.
Yes.
But as a group, no matter how small it may be, it can withstand ECOWAS better if ECOWAS happens to invade.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but honestly, sincerely speaking, for the solutions, as far as I am concerned, is for somebody to know that, let's say, allocations that come from, let's assume, we have the capital as Addis Ababa, which is Ethiopia. If Ghana sells its gold and sends its contribution to the federal government of Africa, and those contributions come back as an allocation to Ghana, there will be more transparency.
Yes.
And people can be held accountable. Why? Because you don't have a Ghanaian who is connected in the industry and in the
Yeah.
system. You have somebody in South Africa who is still auditing somebody in
Yeah,
Ghana.
brother
So
Sam.
in that way, you actually have better, stronger union and stronger structures to be able to pull this off. But as an individual country, there was a reason why Africa was petitioned.
Yeah, brother Sam. I
Yeah.
mean, if I understand what you said correctly,
Mhm.
what you are saying is like how they say strength in numbers. Yes,
Correct.
but I beg to differ from. I mean, I don't totally disagree
Of
with you.
course, yeah,
I
of
don't,
course, yeah.
but haven't we practiced this before? This what you just said is what the Organization of African Union was supposed to address, but we couldn't achieve that. So why? We have organization, we
That's
have
a
the African
very
Union.
that's a very good question
Yeah, we
too.
we have the African Union. So why
Right.
couldn't we achieve that?
African Union is a white elephant.
Exactly.
We need
That's
to we
exactly
need
my
to
point.
yeah. But there is a problem. That's actually
That's
reflect.
exactly my point.
You just made the point that actually better uh, dissect the topic that we are discussing
Yes.
right now. And the reason why I said this is because the African Union, the problem with the African Union is the problem of the elites.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'll tell you why. Okay, let's say for my favorite until recently, PLO Lumumba, the
Mhm.
African Union is actually in the process of nominating an African Union chairperson. All right.
Yes.
Now, because PLO Lumumba I happened to see him before as a Pan Africanist, but I feel that that man is actually a self-dealing person. And I'm sorry,
I don't think I agree with you. I don't think I agree with you on that.
I
I
know
don't
this
think
is,
I agree with you on that. But you
I know,
made but
this
some
is controversial, my
yeah.
brother.
I mean I don't think I agree with you. I don't agree with you on that. But
I know this is
but some
controversial.
you
Yeah.
mentioned something about China involving Tibet and all of that, and basically all comes to the point you saying like strength in numbers, but that is not the totally. I mean, that's not totally
Accurate. Okay.
the situation or the solution we need.
Yeah.
I believe what we need is leaders who care about the continent Africa, who care about the African people. If the Chinese,
Yeah.
if they didn't have a leader who cared about the Chinese, they wouldn't be where they are.
Right.
You
But
know, so basically, it's not. Look, recently Professor P.L. Lumumba was invited to Ghana by Cheddar, Nana Kwame Bediako, to give a talk with other Pan-Africanists.
Right.
But the Ghana government refused, though Nana Kwame Bediako had paid for everything, booked for the place, booked for hotels for them. They refused to allow this program to come on. Because what I think is, the political elite and the highly educated people in Africa right now, they don't want the people to be educated.
Right.
They don't want the people to be educated. And specifically in Ghana, guess what? We had, or they still have, National Commission for Civic Education.
Right.
And this government arm is supposed to educate the people about their rights. And you know, when the people get educated, they will be able to hold the government and other government functionaries accountable.
Right.
So basically, the elite in Africa and Ghana, to be specific, they don't want the people to be educated.
Right.
It's not a question of we being large or huge in numbers. If you have the numbers and you have wicked leaders, the people will suffer.
Right, but you realize that the reason why I'm a proponent of the African unity and therefore the number is because decentralized or fragmented, because it's not even decentralized. Decentralized means we belong to one and then we relinquish certain powers to people. This is partition, like you are not even one of us. What we are doing here as people, as citizens of West Africa, but more importantly as Africans, what we are doing here is an example for many people.
Yes.
Right? Because here we are, I never met you before, and we shared the same hemisphere, but that's all we shared.
Yes.
So in being able to come together and reflect on, critical issues like this, I think is of great importance, but it's also an example for many people.
Yes.
But I think you should allow me to qualify what I said about PLO Lumumba. And I did no. I think
Okay.
you should
All right.
let me. I know you are a prodigy.
I'm a very strong fan of Pielo Lumumba.
Yes, I
and
know.
not just a fan, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I admire him for what he stands for, and I don't think he's a selfish person.
I think he's a disappointment, and I'll tell you why. And look, I used to binge watch that man. I used to binge watch PLO Lumumba.
Why is he a disappointment?
Exactly. All right, I will say it, and just to make sure, I give a reflection on what you said earlier. Yes, that conference, Peter Obi was there actually. I remember Peter didn't go, I think, but Peter Obi was there, and I think the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, probably was there. I remember this, what you are saying, when Bediako invited them.
Yes.
I actually watched that, and I was reflecting on it and all. The reason why I said PLO Lumumba, that man is now focusing on his podcast. He has a podcast and he's worshiping that podcast. I don't think he's a Pan-Africanist. I think no. Let me land. I know I used to be.
You're not being
No. I know.
No. But the point is,
don't be afraid to tackle difficult topics.
No, I'm not afraid.
I was a fan too. But you are. I know you are a diehard. I used to be a diehard of PLO Lumumba, and I want to qualify what I said, because I'm not just here to criticize. Right?
Yes.
The emphasis to the emphasis to the solution process towards an Africa that we need cannot be dichotomized away from the unity of Africa. I've never once had PLO Lumumba talk and say we should have one country and actually did something about it. PLO Lumumba has an organization that is 30 years old. In fact, they were, there's a 30-year organization that he has.
I disagree with you.
No. It's okay to disagree. All I'm saying is that if he's telling us, for instance, when I listened to him recently, he's like, he doesn't support any of the AU chairpersons, aspirants of the
Did they give any reasons?
It doesn't matter, because
there should be reasons. But if you know the CV or the background of somebody and you think they're not going to do a good job, I mean,
where is PLO Lumumba?
No, from what you just said, I don't mean to cut you or derail you from a train.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But with the benefit of hindsight and with what Nana Addo Dankwa, the ex-war president of Ghana,
right,
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and Dr. Bawumia, with the benefit of hindsight and the shambolic governance that they perpetuated on Ghanaians, would you support election of, Nana Addo Dankwa or Dr. Bawumia to any African Union position? Would you?
I want to answer your question, but again, I used to be his diehard. Let me just say this. Just allow me, please, because this is important.
Yes.
You see, the influence that PLO Lumumba has, I have not seen an African who has that influence. The man is highly respected by Africans. He is highly respected by the diaspora.
Yes.
Not once have I heard this man say, I'm going to mobilize the youth. He has the platform at his disposal. PLO Lumumba can easily say, you know what? I am forming a United States of Africa referendum, mock referendum. Go to Facebook and organize. We need a mock referendum. And then he organized, let's have an election. We have an election. This is mock. And then he start from there, write sort of a constitution or whatever, write a structure, right? And sell it again and make sure the heads of states are listening. You understand what I'm saying? And having done that, then he can actually formalize it. He can create a task force in every country. No, I need to finish. So if he did all of that, and then when they talk about the African chairpersonship, we needed PLO Lumumba to come up with a candidate. He should have presented to the youth, this is my candidate and this is the reason why. You understand what I'm saying? And then that country from which that candidate is from, let PLO Lumumba influence the youth to lobby for that person. Yeah. Did you hear? If he did that, let's say he nominated somebody in Ghana, and then he mobilized from South Africa to West Africa to North Africa to East Africa and says to the youths, this is my candidate and this is the reason why. Okay, I'm not nominating a president of Ghana. I'm nominating an African chairperson, and me, PLO Lumumba, because I am such a Pan-Africanist. This is what I want to do. Guess what? He failed to give us a candidate. He failed to tell us whom he supported, other than the fact that he doesn't support all of them. Initially, he started by saying, oh, look I don't want, Rola Odinga, because Rola Odinga is like there's a connivance between him and the president. So he wants to be the chairman of the African Union. Therefore, so that he will not be an obstacle or a thorn to Ruto or whoever to run for president in Kenya. That is a very flimsy and so shallow.
Why is it flimsy and shallow? He gave you a reason.
No, he didn't give a reason. The reason he's giving us, as far as I am concerned, is the trivialization of the whole process. Because if he doesn't want that, we needed him to come with a candidate. PLO Lumumba, which is in his statue, this man has hopped into the plane everywhere, propagating his organization, getting that, notoriety from the youths, just speeches. If speeches has worked before, Nkrumah would have, made it.
No, Nkrumah
made it, but he couldn't get disciples that are going to be also steadfast like he was. You understand? But speeches has never worked. We need action. And this man, PLO Lumumba, is the quintessential example. Is the quintessential example of the problem with the educated elites in Africa.
I'm
sorry we disagree.
No, it's okay. That's fine. I mean, that's the beauty of this world. If we were all to think the same way, it wouldn't be beautiful. But
I don't want you to just agree. I'm okay with you disagreeing, which is fine. But I'm just here to defend a perspective which may not be shared by the viewers or not shared by you, which is fine. Yes. That's what makes it interesting. But the point I'm making here is that I am very much disappointed by PLO Lumumba.
Yeah, it's okay to be disappointed in Mr. Professor PLO. I mean, I love him a lot, and I love him not just for loving's sake, but because of what he stands for and what I have learned from him.
What you stand for without action is actually counterproductive.
No, you're talking about action. You're talking about action, but this is a situation where when he was invited to Ghana, the Ghana government did not allow him to talk to the people. And that is part of the, of the backstabbing we've been doing to ourselves.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
No, this is why.
No, but this is a classic example.
Precisely why I said he should forget about the contiguous, the contiguous countries around. The reason why I said that, he should go beyond Nana Kufu-Addo. He should go ahead.
To where?
To the youths.
He was in Ghana. He was in Ghana to talk to the youth.
I know, but that shouldn't stop it, because there's enough technology for him to he can easily tell Badiako, you know what? Come to Kenya, wherever he resides. We are going to mobilize the youth and have this done in a proper way, in the most fulfilled way. He shouldn't give up because they happen to deny him a visa, or Nana Kufu-Addo denied him to come
I don't think he has given up. I think we'll come back to PLO Lumumba as a whole topic.
Okay.
But I mean, back to the main issue. I think, you know, our main focus
Yeah.
should be on educating the ordinary citizens of the African continent,
Right.
or the ordinary people of the African continent, because that's the only way that they will be able to hold the leadership accountable. You know, that's the only way. You know, when you, like I said earlier, the collapse of the National Commission for Civic Education,
Mhm.
you know, this is an establishment that is entrusted to, you know, educate the people about governance, about how society is run, and all of that.
Right.
But now that establishment has been run down. It's just like a white elephant.
Right.
So the people don't even know their rights. When politicians are elected into office, we the people, we think politicians are doing us a favor.
Mhm.
No politician is doing anybody a favor.
Right.
No politician is doing anybody a favor.
Right.
They are there to serve the people.
Mhm.
But now it's become like we, the people, are rather serving the politicians.
Right.
So how are we going to create the awareness to, you know, conscientize the people so that they will know that even every political office, they have a budget, and this budget is funded by the taxpayers' money, which is contributed by all of us. So politicians are not there for us to serve them. They are there to serve the people. But it has been created from time past, like, oh, when somebody is a politician, like they are a thing god and all of that. You know, and back to what you said about China development and
Okay.
bringing Tibet.
Okay.
I mean, like having strength. I mean, numbers are great, but when you have wrong numbers,
Mhm.
like there's this saying, I think it's a quote from one of these philosophers. I've forgotten which particular philosopher, but I'm not quoting verbatim. But
Right.
there's this situation like when you have 1,000 sheep and you have a lion leading them,
Yeah.
and they go to war, they will win. But when you have a 1,000 lions and you have a sheep leading them,
Mhm.
they are going to lose.
Okay.
So it's all about the person leading us.
Yeah.
It's all about the person leading the African continent, or whoever is leading the various countries in Africa.
Right. But I think, you know, I respect the question, but I think the reason why I mentioned China
Yes.
is because you know, which can be reflected the same as you mentioned the proverb of lions and all of that. The reason why I mentioned China is this. You know, when you said earlier, if Africans, are we stupid or what? Because we've traveled to other countries, we've seen how they've done it,
Yes.
and they've done it so well. We've been there. Some of the people who've been there are actually came back to Africa and become leaders. In other words, they are well versed into world affairs. They've seen how things are done.
Mhm.
They are basically not ignorant. They know everything.
Exactly.
Here's the difference,
Yes.
which is why I have a problem with PLO Lumumba, and I don't want to, you know, really go into that anymore. But the fact of the matter is that China has states, you understand, and each of these states in China have governors. All right. Do you know how many governors have been, taken off their leadership? If a governor misbehaved in China, you have the central government in China.
That's accountability.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
accountability, and that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. You still know you didn't get the point. Here's what I'm trying to say. If those governors have gotten the ultimate power
Mhm.
in China, let's say Guangdong province governor has the ultimate power, which is that the central government, Xi Jinping, has no say on him,
Mhm.
right? It wouldn't have worked. The reason why it works is because the governor of Guangdong province knows that there's a central government that has been empowered. Do you understand?
No, I get what you're saying.
No. You cannot get it and still not want to see it, because the point is that If you get it, then you'll understand why I have a problem with PLO Lumumba.
No,
If it,
I don't want us to go to Pierre. I told you we
okay,
have
all
a
right.
whole
So
yes.
so
So
but
don't
but,
let
but
us go to
the thing
yes.
is
Let's
tied. Is the whole thing is
no,
tied.
the whole Africa is not tied to PLO Lumumba.
No.
Okay,
I'm
let's
saying
assume PLO Lumumba is no more.
we cannot, because we are intelligent people. We cannot assume
No,
that something is not
but the whole Africa is not tied to PLO Lumumba.
right. But I'm trying
And you can make a difference in Africa like we're
context.
doing now.
Yes, but context matters. I'm trying to give context. I was not saying PLO Lumumba because I want to create. I want to be hyperbolic, or I want to be insensitive, or I want to be sensational. No, what I'm trying to say is that the only reason why China is succeeding, even the Americans accuse Chinese leadership of being, what do you call it, strangling the people and not allowing freedom and controlling everybody and all of that. The fact of the matter is that human beings have our, innate in us is the instinct and the possibility of behaving and in an animalistic way, because we're animals anyways. So there must be structure and rules that governs the way we function in our
I
society.
agree with you. I
If
agree
you
with you
agree
on
with
that.
me on that, then you'll understand that yes, this politician, and this was your question. These leaders, each department have a budget. They should do A, they should do B. First and foremost, because of the fragmentation of the economy, there's no synergy. You see, if you and I are to
No,
push, I'm trying to get to you. I'm trying
yes.
to get to you. If you and I have to get to your car right now and try to, like, let's say yourself, and try to push it, you you've eaten food, you've exercised, you got the power, you are giving all that power, But if you call me and say, "Hey, Sam, come over here, help me to push this car," it's called synergy. Your power and my power will make a difference in making sure that that car is pushed further down to the cliff,
Mhm.
or further down to the highway, so that it will drive better out of the mud, getting it from the mud to the highway. If just because you exercise and you go to the gym, doesn't necessarily translate to you being able to push a 3,000 ton or 3,000 pounds vehicle. The point precisely is that we've tried this for 60 years, and this is what frustrates me. What frustrates me is not that African or so-called Pan-Africanists did not see it. What frustrates me is that these are Pan-Africanists, doctors in their titles, knew that for 60 something, 70 years now, since pre-colonization, or since post-colonization, and we are adopting the same system that had never worked.
When you talk
The,
of
the, the, you
what
know,
system are you talking about? What kind of system?
the division of different countries are in isolation,
I think
functioning
we
in
addressed
isolation.
that. We talked about that already.
But it's the same thing, though.
No, we have the African Union. It's not worked.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's about account. For me, you made mention of China again, and you said something like China is made up of states and governors, and if you do something, the law is going to deal with you. So it's about accountability. At the end of the day, if you have a good ruler, the people, rejoice. If you had a bad ruler, the people suffer. So at the end of the day, it's about accountability. Like I keep going to the Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. When the Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was there, things were moving on because of his I don't want to say individual personality, but that also contributes. If somebody is a good person, they will see to it that their community, their society, their environment, their people, they rejoice. Look, this is a typical example. Today I was watching a video on YouTube where this Ghanaian, he had a vision, and it's not like it's never happened before. At some point, Ghana, we had Dako farms. This man was into pottery, pottery, doing live poultry beds, eggs, and stuff like that. Ask me what happened to Daco Farms. Daco Farms is collapsed now. But this man who I was watching on YouTube wanted to start something like that. And he needed a loan. He needed a loan. He went to the Exim Bank, the representative of the Exim Bank in Ghana. You know what this man told him? According to what I watched, this man said that the representative of Exim Bank in Ghana told him that if he makes his poultry industry in Ghana successful, I mean, how are those importing from outside? How would their business fare? This is the mindset. Yeah. Why should we as Ghanaians be importing chicken products?
Exim Bank is an African-wide bank. It's African Export-Import Bank.
Yes, so, exactly. So, I mean, like this particular instance, right. Why should a representative who is there to facilitate the business of Africans, of Ghanaians?
I have a simple answer to that. Because precisely this is why this conversation is on topic. Yes. I know you think it is not, but it is on topic. Because it goes back to the elitism of our elites, which is comprising of elites that is the most affluent, highly educated, and politicians, all in that role.
Yes.
I call it completely, and that umbrella thing. Because this man walking in the bank, you'll be surprised to note that this man has, whoever told him this, stupid, gave him this stupid denial response to this poor farmer or aspiring farmer, is because he already knew that, whoever is importing those eggs or those poultry, he has a stake in it because he's part of that.
Exactly.
Elite. So we are in topic. All I'm trying to say to you is that the experiment that we've performed for 70 years. Yes, indeed, the AU was there for almost at the same time that most countries had independence in Africa. Yes. But I think that's what you don't want to divorce from. You are actually saying that, you know what, the AU has not worked, but the AU is basically, if the AU fails, just like Africa fails, or the governance in Africa fail, the AU is part of that, ash of heaps in the failure as a reflection of failure in African governance, and therefore the AU is not effective at all. What I'm trying to say is that the African countries, unlike the AU, decided to render the AU irrelevant. Because if the AU is relevant, just like the California, let's say, California is actually, the governor went to court and make sure he safeguard all the things that he doesn't want, or he fear that the Trump government is going to intrude upon or impose upon California. He tried to create, a boundary, or a fortress, so that they won't be able to, the federal government will not be able to impose upon California what California wouldn't want from a Republican president. The point being, the federal government of of America has power, has been empowered by the people. The experiment that we did less is the experiment of the AU, because we rendered it purposefully. The leaders of the African countries rendered the AU irrelevant. That's no, let me finish.
No, I agree with you.
I'm not. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So they rendered it purposefully irrelevant, so that they will not get the scrutiny that comes with a strong, united Africa. Do you understand?
I get you. I don't disagree with you.
I'm answering your question. Okay. So therefore, because of that, this man was able to say what he said to the farmer. Because nobody, do you know that the African Import-Export Bank, countries in themselves alone, has limited power to that organization.
Mhm.
If there was a United Africa, those banks, those national, then they will become national assets, can be regulated better, and they can be more accountable. But even the Ghanaian government cannot go to the extreme,
Please
import.
hold your fire. Hold your
Okay,
fire.
okay,
Hold your fire. I mean,
okay.
don't lose your train of thought.
Yes,
Hold your
okay,
fire.
yeah.
But basically, I don't agree with Africans coming to. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But
But
what I'm saying is,
that should be the fulcrum of
no. But
every Pan-Africanist conversation.
I
Pan-African
don't
conversation.
disagree with that.
Okay.
But all that I'm saying is, we've done that before and it didn't work. We
No,
have
but you see,
no.
you are
But the
repeating.
point. No,
Okay,
listen, big
whoever
brother,
is
listen.
listening to us, I just want to say one thing, and
Yes.
please, again, you please don't lose your thought terrain. But here's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that yes, we've tried the AU, but the reason why that's not a fair comparison is because African countries have always maintained the overall power over the African Union. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that the African heads of state deliberately make sure it is a toothless bulldog so that they cannot be scrutinized.
So
Do you understand what I'm saying?
no.
So what I'm saying is that, which is why I'm saying Pan-Africanist, and I don't want to name PLO Lumumba anymore, but a Pan-Africanist individuals who claim to be Pan-Africanists should see it as imperative to have a united Africa. Because if we don't, continually, we cannot make strong structural changes in individual countries.
I don't disagree with you. I don't know. Maybe I'm not expressing myself
No,
well.
I think
But basically, what I think the problem is, it comes back to having good people in leadership positions.
yeah.
Because if you're saying we should use, I mean, it's not just about Pan Africanism and just using the names. I mean, it comes back to having good people in leadership positions. This thing that you're talking about, who are the kind of people we are going to use? Is it not the same Africans?
Yeah.
So if they are not good, if they don't have,
you know where we are not actually, and I hope the audience understand. You know where we differ. Where we differ is this, right?
yes,
Where we differ is this. And this is actually the problem with Pan-Africanists
yes,
in general.
yes.
What they fail to understand is that, the Kwame Nkrumah failed not because he's not a good leader. So when you say good people,
Kwame
no, no,
Nkrumah
no, no,
didn't
no, 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 no,
fail.
no.
Kwame Nkrumah did not
My
fail.
brother, let me learn. Kwame Nkrumah did not fail because he's not quote unquote good people. You see, that's precisely why there should be unity. Because the reason why Kwame Nkrumah did not succeed is because if Kwame Nkrumah and, let's say, Morocco at that time supporting Kwame Nkrumah and all those countries had agreed, we would have gotten a stronger, a structured organization. You see, if you cannot go and kill the entire president of Africa, the reason why it's easy.
Why would you
No,
say
no, no,
that?
no, no,
No,
no.
why would you say that statement about
Okay,
go and
I'll
kill?
say the statement. They tried to kill Kwame Nkrumah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they did not just try, they killed Thomas Sankara.
Yes.
Okay, all the Africans do is to romanticize about a great leader, but when those leaders are alive, you don't see. We should be seeing on his platform, the so-called Pan-Africanists, whether it's PLO Lumumba or whoever, every day in their platform, in their podcast, talk about Ibrahim Traore. There's Ibrahim, the Burkina Faso leader or the Niger leader. What did they do? What are they doing? Where are they deviating? Where did they not deviate? How much support do we need? You don't hear about that. Wait until they kill him. If God forbid they did. What is the
Mr.
point?
Sam.
The point exactly is that if there was a united Africa, you'll realize that there will be, it will be difficult for marginalized communities. There will be a structural organization that is going to be responsible. There will be a structured army. I mean, look at the carnage that is happening in Sudan. Africa cannot even send it because they felt it's not their country.
Yeah.
That's a travesty.
Yes. When I make mention of good people, I'm not mentioning just for mentioning sake.
Because
And
good people have failed, though. Good people have failed because
no,
not
good
because
people have not failed. Let me
Thomas
tell you.
Okay, Thomas Sankara did
Mr.
not
Sam,
succeed.
I'm the moderator. Keep your train of thought. Keep your train of thought. No, no,
I
no.
love
Listen.
you. Thank you so much.
Listen, brother Sam.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, when I say good people have not failed, and I'm happy you mentioned the name of the president of Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I was trying to bring your mind to.
Yeah.
This president in Burkina Faso, this young man of about 36 years,
Yes,
he used $12 million to establish a tomato processing factory.
yes.
And in Ghana, what did we do? We used $58 million and sank into a foundation for a cathedral, which never happened.
Yeah.
This $12 million, this young man leading Burkina Faso used to establish the tomato processing factory is not creating jobs for the Burkina people.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
so it's
that
not,
is again, you know, when I mention simplification, I think you are not understanding what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that I never said individual countries cannot have good leaders. We have good governors in America, okay, but they are highly reliant on the structure of the United States.
No, but the point is,
I just want to say this. I want to say this. You know, Thomas Sankara ruled for about 4 to 5 years before he was assassinated. Thomas Sankara turned Burkina Faso into a food self-sufficient country. Burkina Faso never needed anything, right? And what you are actually happening right now, which is the tomato farm, just wait until they do something to Ibrahim Traore. That thing may not even be functional. The problem is that's not an institution. It's not a structured institution yet. And in order to do that, in order to even have African, military as one military, African military, going to Burkina Faso and making sure that the president, and by then it would have been a governor, is safe, is by having an amalgamation, a pact, the African federal government, so that all these efforts by individual countries will actually have the hope of continuing. You know, and let me say this, because because once that man leaves, let's say he leaves, as you know, he's ruling now as a military guy. When he leaves, do you know how much money this man has paid the loan? Burkina Faso, $4.1 billion. He paid it off. Just wait until he leaves. That means by the time, if he's there for another 4 years, he would have cushioned the account, the reserve of Burkina Faso. When he leaves, all that wealth will be pillaged because you cannot guarantee who is coming. You understand?
Brother Sam,
the only way you can have a continuation is to have a really strong accountability. And China, we are refusing. You see, you and I agree with China, but we disagree because you feel governorship, this example of governors, countries that's supposed to be states continuing to be countries. That's where we disagree.
No, I don't disagree with you on that. So what I'm saying
because good people cannot be guaranteed, but good structure can be guaranteed. If we
who make the structure? Good people make a good structure.
I understand.
Good people make a good structure.
Yes, but the problem is that the structure is as strong as those good people.
No.
And because you cannot guarantee who is coming, the structure should be it should be in.
Who makes the structure? It's the people who make the structure. Just like you cited the president of Burkina Faso. So would you want to have various presidents from the various countries having the same qualities of the Burkinabe president or that of the ex-president of Ghana? I would prefer that all African countries have the same, character as the Burkinabe president. And that is what I'm saying. Would it be
No,
easier?
no,
Would
no,
it be
no, no.
no, brother Sam,
Okay,
listen to
yeah,
me.
let you finish. Yeah.
Would it be easier for Africa to come together and for us to form that amalgamated whatever you are talking about? Would it be easier if the various African leaders have the same qualities of the Burkina president, or would it be easier if they had the qualities of the ex president of Ghana? I
Yes.
think it will be easier with the Burkina president,
Right.
and that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but what you fail to understand is that my submission from the beginning of this
Yes,
conversation is that I'm not saying there are no good people like Burkina Faso president. My
I didn't
worry.
say you said that.
No,
I
I
did
know.
not
No,
say
no,
you
no.
said that.
I'm not saying you said that. I'm just trying to make a point. My worry is that we have good people, and the
Mhm.
reason why they did not succeed is not necessarily because they did not start all these good programs and policies and processes and even try to create structure in their own way, right?
Yes,
I'm saying, as Africans, we've tried that already. The risk here is that we cannot guarantee that. Yes, we want, that's our wish. Our wish is to have 54 Ibrahima Torres. That's our wish, right?
yes,
We agree on that. But I'm saying that we tried that. And time and again, time without number, proven that actually that's wishful thinking now. Because we cannot guarantee that there will be 3 successive Ibrahima Torres in Burkina Faso. And because we don't, this is precisely why I said all these Pan-Africanists, if they are not after their self-aggrandizing, they should their motivation should be, especially look at Arikana, Dr. Arikana Chiambore Kwa, the former AU ambassador to the United States, who was fired by Musa Faki Mohammed because she was a trailblazer, and she still is. The problem is that if because we cannot guarantee that there will be 3 other successive Thomas Sankaras or Ibrahima Traores, I am saying to you, I'm submitting to the audience, and I hope they understand this, that we should have, as the Pan-Africanists, and precisely why I mentioned them in name, should be incumbent upon them to say, you know what? All this talk, all these lectures, all these speeches has not taken us anywhere. Nobody is more eloquent than Kwame Nkrumah. Nobody is more eloquent than Marcus Garvey. Nobody is more eloquent than. Okay, so I go on? No, I don't need
Pierre
to.
Lumumba.
Okay.
No, but I think we've passed the hour mark,
Okay,
and
okay,
yeah,
okay.
we should be wrapping up. But basically, what I'm driving our attention to is,
Yeah.
like you rightly put and you rightly said, we are not going to get everybody being perfect, and the only way I believe,
And we have a scientific evidence, a political
the
science
the the
evidence for
only
that.
way, the
Yeah.
only way I believe we can succeed is get all of us educated. We should create the awareness so that we hold the politician accountable.
Yes.
The politician is not a god.
Yes.
The politician is not a god. So that is all that I'm saying. That
Yeah, but what you are saying is actually failing to recognize that we actually assume that trajectory or the same process, and it failed.
what process? Holding the politician accountable.
The problem is it has always failed because we have people there. You see,
Now, if we cannot hold our politicians accountable, then what? If we don't know, I mean, if we don't know what to expect from the politician, then we cannot hold them accountable.
No,
Then how are you going to succeed?
Yeah, but so what I was trying to say is that, you see, Pan-Africanists should they should change their process, their approach. The reason why they should change their approach is that you yourself mentioned, and I heard you said this, numerous times ad nauseum, that The stupidity is actually insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different results. If this Pan-Africanists are can they make speeches better than Nyerere? Can they make speeches better than Thomas America Cabral? Can they make speeches better than Sekou Touré? Can they make speeches better than? I don't need to go on. My point is that we've tried individually getting people accountable, and it failed. Look at the president of Nigeria. What is he doing? A country awash with wealth, awash with wealth, having people in destitution. I mean, we have, internally displaced people, the ADPs in Nigeria, people who are displaced in their country.
That is why we need the people educated, so the people don't think the politician is their God.
My point is, if politicians are engaged in the animalistic, instinct, are preoccupied in their animalistic instinct, which is subhuman, these politicians who actually don't care about the people, like there's carnage. How can you allow carnage in Nigeria?
Yeah, it comes back
right. So if that is the case, we should change. The Pan-Africanists should lead us. We are yearning, we are begging them to change their trajectory. They need to stop, lectures and big speeches and mobilize the youth. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's everything. They have all the resources to create a mock African, strong African entity, a federal Africa, by starting with this. What
you are saying boils down to education, and that's all I'm saying. Whether Pan-African is, but I don't want to put that tag on it. But all that I'm saying is we need to get ourselves educated, so we can hold people we put in positions accountable.
Correct.
And basically that's what it is. Because if we don't hold these politicians their feet to fire, they are never going to serve the people. That is basically what I'm saying. Because from all that you've said, it's like the elite, the politician, presently, they're just concerned about themselves. That's all they're doing.
That is
so
true.
If we don't hold their feet to fire, and we can only hold their feet to fire only when we are educated and we know that, no, this is my village. You're coming for gold. You're coming for diamond. You're coming for lithium from my village. You need to make sure that you provide me with my basic necessities. But it so happens that, those in the villages, they think it's the politician that's doing them a favor. You see? So that is all I'm saying. We should focus on education. And for me, it doesn't matter whether it's coming from a Pan-Africanist or whoever, but we need the whole populace educated.
Right. But if we are to actually not just say it and expect it to be, implemented, I'm suggesting to us that strategy of education has not worked. The education you are talking about is to educate the poor peasants in the village, so that they will know that when the politicians showed up, they are not actually giving you a favor, but it's their duty to show up in that village and make sure that resources
are you by this saying
resources are provided and all of that, right? That's what you are suggesting.
I don't mean to cut you, but
please,
are you by saying that, suggesting that we should do away with the Bible? Because the Bible, you say that they keep on using the Bible, there is still sin. People are still sinning. Does it mean that we should not keep on advising people to stay away from bad deeds? The fact that we have not succeeded in our education doesn't mean we should give up hope. We should keep on with the education.
Right, but what you are saying also can also be critique to say, you are saying because people are still committing, breaking the law, so therefore the law, it's not necessary for us to create the law. Because
no, that's not what I'm saying.
No, that's not what you're saying. That's not what I said too. But what I'm saying is that the reference reflects this way. The AU, a strong AU, doesn't mean that we will cease to have good people and good governors and states like African countries. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that we need to have The AU simply can be simplified, can actually be metaphorically described as the laws of the country. That's all I'm saying. So if we have, let's say we have an AU that is not a toothless bulldog, but a bulldog that actually bites, right? The AU, it will be like the laws in a country, even though people will still be breaking the law, but we have the laws. So all I'm saying to you is that, yes, we need to have good people in our countries, but we need somebody with a stick to police them, because we tried it as an individual caged entity called a country, and we are looking and yearning for good people, and it didn't work for 60 years. Because and the comparison is a false one, because the AU actually was rendered immaterial by the same govern, presidents in their in
Because
period
they
of
were
the,
bad people. They didn't have the
no,
interest
no,
of
no,
Africa at heart.
yeah, exactly. So, but
Yes.
yeah. So
So
that's my problem.
we need people who have Africa's interest
Yeah,
at heart.
yes, but the
Yes.
problem is the AU have actually understood. Sorry, the Pan Africanists actually understood that they've been having this message and it didn't work. They've never fought. They've never fought for an AU. Let's say Piero Lumumba. This is the year of the election for. This is the election. Let me say one more
Your
thing.
final comment.
Okay, let's say Piero Lumumba.
I think you are too upset with PLO Lumumba.
Let's say
We need to have a dinner date or a lunch date with the Professor PLO
let's say
Lumumba.
this is the year. This is the only year for the next 5 years, maybe, the election of an African chairman,
Yes.
AU African chairman. All I'm saying is that we expected him to come up with two leaders, two candidates, and tell the youths and mobilize, use his platform and say, because he already know.
He was going to
already
present.
know.
He was going to present an
No,
Bediako,
no, listen. He was.
and they did not allow him.
He shouldn't be allowed. You see, that's my point. My point is there's Facebook, Instagram, and all of that. He should mobilize the
You
youth.
could be censored from all these social media accounts. You could be censored.
You see, don't be the prophet of doom. The prophet of doom. Just don't try to say discount all of that. He doesn't know because he didn't start. He didn't do it. He didn't initiate anything. He didn't do anything of that. He just folded his hand and then said, "I don't support all of them."
That is not. But he's educating people on YouTube.
Whom did he
I don't know about that, but he's educating people on YouTube. I listen to him a lot.
Because he's trying to make money for himself.
No, that is what you
I know.
No, don't focus
I have enough of that.
Listen to his content. Listen to his content.
I did.
What's your final?
I told you I have always binge watch, PLO Lumumba, until I realized that the man is sincere. I'm sorry. He's your, I'm sorry.
I disagree with you on that.
Okay.
Respectfully.
Yes.
Respectfully.
Okay.
So what's your final comments? How can the African elite who are now, ruling Africa, how can we hold them accountable so that the African continent will have, glorious years ahead, even if we don't enjoy and our children come to our children's children come and enjoy? I mean, that would be great.
Right. So in as we wind down, what I want to emphasize is where I started from. If education was so paramount to the colonialists when they came in, and even in their quest to propagate religion, that means education is very vital and critical, right?
Yes.
It is incumbent upon us to change, direction, to marshal that education for the good, not to create respected, corrupt elite politicians, because by virtue of their education, they garner more reverend and basically, untouchable, and therefore continue to contribute to the carnage that is happening in Africa. So I believe, we should marshal that education, We should marshal that enlightenment that they got, these professional elites, politicians, so that they will use that to, not to their selfish interest, but to help promulgate the, the aspirations, and the hopes and dreams of our African youths, and the continent, and the entire African continent. It is very, very important. I mean, we have vast lands, arable lands. All they need to do is to create an African Union. There's an Exim, the Exim Bank is there, the African Development Bank is there. All these two organizations should focus on one thing: infrastructure, creating railways from South Africa all the way to the coast of Senegal, and then creating it across again, and making sure that there are road networks that will link Africans. If they need labor and they cannot pay for labor, let them provide food for the youths in Gambia, in Sierra Leone, in Ghana, in Nigeria. They will be promised food, but they will walk in that train tracks without being paid. If that's what it will take, feed them for 5 years. Let them get funds to feed those people, those youths, for 5 years. Let them be involved in, creating laying train tracks. I'm talking about cargo trains that will create, more relevance for the free, the Africa free trade area, so that it will connect the economies of Africa. If that's what it will take, because this, we it's already less than worse than slavery, that you have youths who are languishing in poverty, and you still have presidents who spends millions of dollars, whether going to tours, even within the country, meet the farmer store and whatever. I think this is important. It's crucial that we, harness those youths. If it means laying rail tracks within Ghana, three folds, and provide them just with food, because these people cannot even have a meal. For the sake of the development of Ghana, I am willing, and it's not slavery, I am willing to make sure you mobilize all those youths who are not working, that cannot provide a meal, that don't even have shelter, and say, you know what, you guys will have meals, 3 meals a day, but we have 800 miles to build, to lay train tracks on. We'll provide cement. We are not going to pay for labor, but this is about national development. I think African Pan-Africanists and African, governments should engage. Let's marshal the education for the good of the African, and not use it to actually perpetuate or even do worse than pre-independence, or during post-independence, early post-independence days in Africa.
All right, thank you, brother Sam, for coming. I'm looking forward to the day when the elite African will help build, our infrastructure, like you said, better healthcare infrastructure, and also process our raw materials instead of sending our raw materials outside, exporting our raw materials outside, and all of this will create, employment for the youth, just like you've rightly stated. And yeah, I think we don't have to lose hope. We should continue with the education. We should keep hope alive and pray for life and good health. I always say that the sky is never the limit. For me, I'll break through the sky. I mean, if you have life and good health, there's nothing you cannot do. So thank you once again for coming to Ebusembe YouTube channel.
Yes.
And I wish you a happy new year.
I am happy to be here, and to the viewers, thank you all for listening to our chat. This is just a brotherly chat. We are just here to have fun and argue, and so thank you so much.
Thank you, Ebusembe YouTube channel. And like we always do it, today I'm wearing my peace. No, this is it. Where is the peace? Yeah, the peace, love, and peanut butter. Right? So thank you. Like we always sign up, peace and love to you.
That,
all right, thank you.
All right,
bye. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, subscribe, like, and share if you've not. Okay, thank you. Love you all. Bye bye. Yeah.